Good morning, people. Looking at the news this morning, the Americans allegedly are saying we're negotiating for the future of Greenland. Who exactly are they negotiating with? Who? The people of Greenland have said that there is no way that they want to be part of America. And they're adamant about that, the people of Greenland. The public they've spoken, people representing Greenland have been on television, on the news media, and have said, definitely not, we are not going to be part of America. The people of Denmark, the government of Denmark has said, Greenland belongs to Denmark. It has done since 900 AD. When the Vikings went over, the first Vikings went over, and people like Eric the Red and established colonies on Iceland and Greeceland and what have you. It was then part of the Viking Empire. And when the Norwegians and the Swedes and Danes went their separate ways and they became separate countries, the agreements were established that Norway would get Svalbard archipelago, Iceland, Denmark would get the Faroe Islands, and Greenland, which had been previously owned by the Viking nation. Sweden got Gotland or somewhere like that. And I can't remember exactly. But the point of the matter is who the hell are the Americans negotiating with? I'll tell you, they're not negotiating with anybody. The Americans are lying. The American government is just trying to spin it. Like Adolf Hitler did during the 30s about the Sudetenlands of Czechoslovakia, and now that Gdansk and parts of Poland really belonged to the German Empire. And this is how we ended up with World War II going. But that's a different story. I mean, the World War II started, is Germany decided that parts of Poland belonged to them. The Russians thought, we're not having that, and allied themselves with the Germans, and they started carving up, the Germans and the Russians started carving up Eastern Europe between them. Poland, Lithuania, Czechoslovakia, Estonia, Latvia, Bulgaria, and they had Romania. You know the story. We've all read the history books. Well, non-Americans have read the history books. But it's blatantly obvious that Trump and his arsehole friends, have got this notion, oh yeah, we've done this with Venezuela, we'll take the oil from Venezuela and around mineral wealth and everything. Who can we target next? I know, they'll have a go at Greenland. They've got lots of oil, lots of gas, lots of minerals hidden under the ice pack. And we'll put a spin on it and we'll say, it's because it's vital to our national security. Now, the free-thinking world, the educated people, not the Americans, we all know that this is total bullshit. And that Trump and his people are lying and blatantly lying, and they haven't even got the good sense to try and gloss it up as something else. We all know. Right. So supposing Greenland is attacked by the US military on orders, assuming the US military will follow that order. That's a big assumption, because the rhetoric and the US military are starting to see Trump of what he really is. He's just a fucking mobster and a gangster and a fucking knobhead. And quite a lot of the US military are now starting to think, maybe we shouldn't be following this pillock because he's a wazzock. So the question is, there's two questions really. Will the US military follow that order to invade Greenland? And if they do, what do they actually expect is going to happen? Because as an ex-military person served in the British military and the Rhodesian military, I can tell you without a certain of a doubt, the Americans cannot handle 150 Royal Marines. It would be the end of NATO in its form as it is now, with America thinking they're the head of it. But America isn't NATO. They're just one country that's part of it. There are 27 other nations form up the NATO alliance. Why is the NATO's headquarters in Brussels if America's in charge? That's because America isn't in charge. They're the biggest contributor to the NATO alliance. That's true. But being the biggest doesn't make you the strongest. Now, I've served in the British military. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but I know for a fact the British Royal Marines, when it comes to Arctic warfare, they're quite up there in the top ranks of it. There's only countries like Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark can beat the British Royal Marines when it comes to Arctic warfare. The Norwegians, the Scandinavia, are far better equipped for it and with the knowledge of how to fight in an Arctic conditions. Now, Greenland has a permanent military presence on Denmark has a permanent military presence on Greenland. I don't remember the name of it, but they have a patrol that goes off, and it's about 4-man team, and they regularly patrol the perimeter, the shoreline of Greenland, all the way around. It's a posting, and it goes on. It's like a constant mission. There's guys constantly walking from the Danish military with dog sleds and mechanised vehicles around the shoreline and the coastline of Greenland. And they regularly fly over it with surveillance aircraft and what have you. They've got maritime patrol aircraft that go regularly over Greenland. They have a military presence. It's not much of one, but it's there. It's there, and Greenland basically is a vast wilderness, and it's like a nature reserve. And we all know, blatantly obvious, that the Americans are after the oil, the gas, and the minerals, and it's not going to happen. Now, a little while back, 150 British Royal Marines went off to play war games against the Americans. 150 Royal Marines. Make that, let that sink in. 150 Royal Marines. And in these war games, the Americans put in 1,500 US military personnel. Just keep those numbers in mind. The exercise was going to go on for about a week. This military war games, about a week, maybe 2, I can't remember. And there were 3 days into the exercise, and the Americans had to call it off because they couldn't figure out how to fight the Royal Marines. Had it been a real situation, the Royal Marines would have wiped, and and that exercise had carried on. The Royal Marines would have wiped out the entire 1,500 force men and personnel force of the American Armed Forces. If it'd been for real, they would have wiped them out. The Royal Air Force don't go to red flag anymore. No point. Because every time they go to red flag, they embarrass the American Air Force. They embarrass them totally. And we keep running practice bombing raids on places like Washington and New York and Seattle and San Francisco, and they keep doing war games. And the Royal Air Force consistently get through